Hey everyone! Welcome back to some more Let's Play Lobotomy Corporation. In the last episode, we got through day 25. No one died. We got some more lore re-unlocked for Backwards Clock, having retried that day. The first day, we actually retried because there was no reason for us to lose a Dorkable to Backwards Clock. We didn't gain any benefit from using it. I did not understand what Backwards Clock would do for me. Now I have a much better idea thanks to you guys telling me and from me having looked up a little bit about it ourselves. In any case, we also unlocked the disciplinary team in the last episode, and we'll be working with another Sephiroth going forward. She looks pretty cool. I like her red outfit, and she has scars on her face, so it looks like she's seen some combat. Looks like she's a smoker, too. That's pretty awesome. But you still shouldn't smoke. In this episode, everyone, by the way, we're not going to have any gameplay here. We're going to, for the most part, just read about the abnormalities lore that we picked up over the past several days while working with the Central Command team. We weren't reading about any of it because it was taking us about an hour and 40 minutes to get through some of these days. So I figured, well, we'll just do a big video and just read all of it. And maybe we can talk a little bit about some of the things I've learned while working with these abnormalities as well. So let's go ahead and get to the deployment screen and begin reading about them. Alright, everyone. I didn't talk during the load this time because I'm looking at all the words which are showing up on the right, and I'm beginning to understand what some of them mean now. I'm beginning to wonder if, assuming we even reach the end of the game, which is still not guaranteed, if it will all make sense as to what's going on. I have a few more guesses, by the way, that I would like to say at the end of this episode. Because I think I'm beginning to piece together a few things. And I think it would be interesting to make a statement or two and see what you guys think. But we'll hold on to that to the end of the episode. So let's go ahead and get started, shall we? And we're just going to go ahead and read the lore for all these abnormalities, and I'll talk a little bit about some other aspects of them. So let's start with the Freischutz, one of the coolest looking abnormalities we have had the pleasure of having in our department. Alright, let's read a story. The devil ultimately wished for despair. Ooh, that's an interesting first statement. I'll talk about this a little later. Let's keep reading. For despair wears down the mind and drains one's will to go forward. When one feels there's nothing left to go for, their soul falls down to hell, the devil's domain. This is why the devil finds it more entertaining to watch people fall to despair, rather than to simply kill them. We describe it as selling one's soul to the devil. It sounds more like it's resigning one's soul to the outcome that they fear or are terrified of happening, or know will happen and they can't divert the course. When a marksman received a gun from the devil proposed a childish contract. The last bullet would puncture the head of his beloved. The moment he heard that, he sought and shot all the people he loved. Then he told the devil, "This magical bullet can truly hit anyone, just like you say." With the last bullet gone for good, the hunter traveled to numerous worlds. Sometimes he helped those in need, or fought evil, but it was all done on impulse, not a gesture of goodwill or ideals. In one world, he was called a righteous hunter, while in another, he was a blood-stained gunman. One day, the marksman realized the devil no longer followed him. He pondered why, then realized that his soul had already fallen to hell from the beginning. The contract had already been fulfilled, so the devil had left. The marksman, now a devil himself, continues to pull the trigger and gather the souls of others. Just as the devil said, the bullets will puncture anything you please. Forever. That doesn't read that way to me. Maybe there's a translation issue here, but, this sounds like he guaranteed that no one he loved would be left, and he could still keep firing the gun. Unless now he just doesn't want any emotions and just kills because... Okay, so maybe he's just killing things because of impulse now, and not because of anything he really cares about, because he doesn't want the gun to ever not work for him, or he doesn't want to end up in hell when the last bullet is fired? That doesn't read like that's the case with the contract. I'd have to read the actual contract. I'm sure there's more to it than this was written here. I don't know if he's a devil himself either. He looks more like a wraith to me. But whatever. That's still kind of cool. Feel kind of bad for the hunter, though. I wonder what they mean by other worlds. That sounds like there's other... different dimensions? And so, is it like the shards from Aeodor Genesis, where you can pick the scout as a hero, but you can play him as an evil guy or a good guy? Is that the way this works? Yeah, I don't understand what he means by in one world. Is there like all these different timelines going on that he can interact with separately? Or is he related to us retrying a day and there's some time shenanigans that are going on there? I wonder. Alright, well, I guess I can keep wondering. Let's go ahead and read The Lady Facing the Wall. An abnormality in the shape of a woman against the wall. Over time, her unbearable sorrow grew into a mournful obsession, covered in countless lengthy hairs. As she is always facing the wall, not a single person has seen her face. While she occasionally talks to herself and weeps quietly, it is impossible to have a meaningful conversation with her. Despite her appearance, it is impossible to discern what she is really looking at or her true intentions. She will attempt to talk to or pique the interest of those who are about to leave for containment unit. However, one should never look back in response, as it may cause mental damage. Certain rumors insist that one may turn to stone upon looking back, but this is clearly not true. I'm surprised they didn't do another, religious reference here to Sodom and Gomorrah, where you would be turned to salt if you looked back at her, or something of the sort, right? Because we have the trumpets, which are from Revelation. Are the seals in this game as well? Or the different beasts? Is there, a chimera in the game? I wonder? It'd be neat if there's even more, biblical references in the game, because they do have quite a few of them so far. Excerpt from the observation log I-304. There is only one important rule to follow. Ignore her. She always tries to draw our attention. She mutters incoherently in an attempt to have those in the room pay closer attention to what she's saying. She'll even plead or whisper maliciously when someone is about to leave in the hopes that they may instinctively look back. The subconscious is a threat to your own health in her presence. It is important to have your guard up and to be aware of what is occurring when you are in the room with her. If you forget the warnings for even a second and let your guard down, you may find yourself looking back towards her. I have another warning to leave to all who read this. Do not let this insidious abnormality learn your name. If she learns your name, she may use it to trick you into turning around. No matter what you hear or what she may do to tempt you while you are in the room with her, do not, and I repeat, do not under any circumstance look at her. Curiosity is a luxury you must never indulge in when you are in her containment unit. Excerpt from Counseling Log 939. She sounds just like the girl from Ju-on to me. I can't remember the name of the demon or the ghost type from the Japanese horror stories. No, I don't own Ju-on. Maybe I should go buy that when I'm done with this. It was a great horror movie. I loved it. Employee F5004. Redacted was a colleague of mine for whom I cared deeply. Well, I cared for all my coworkers, but Redacted was different. The amount of passion they poured into their work was something I rarely witnessed in life. Anyway, I have no idea how she, that abnormality, learned Redacted's name. Maybe someone called it out to them while they were inside the containment unit and she heard it. We should have sent 2 in for work with her. The common procedure is to have a team of 2 sent into the containment unit, but as you know, we're always short-handed. Is that really the case? That's never been the procedure. We always send 1 person into the containment unit. It'd be kind of neat if you could send multiple people in. Besides, the abnormality was low on the threat scale. If we followed the procedure and sent 2 inside, the powers that be would not have been happy about it one bit. Omitted. Oh, okay. So maybe that is the procedure, but no one ever follows it because... Angela? Probably doesn't want that to happen, is my guess. Right? Malkuth always is trying to make rules for people to follow. Hod cares about her employees. Netzach just doesn't care at all about anything. But he would not have been unhappy about sending 2 people in here. Yasad would absolutely follow the procedure to keep more people alive. I don't know what Tipperith would do. Depends upon, I guess, which Tipperith was in control. Guess whatever would give them more energy would be what Girl Tipperith wants, and Guy Tipperith would want to save the employee. Sorry, I'm mentioning this because of the omitted. I wonder who is the powers that be that wouldn't be happy about it. Maybe it's one of the other Sephiroth we haven't met yet. Well, you know the rest. The day the incident happened, Redacted was sent into the containment unit as usual, but they didn't come out for a long time. I know Redacted was a prompt and diligent worker, so I headed straight for the containment unit fearing the worst. Thankfully, I found them without even a scratch, but the kid looked out of it, like, way out of it. Omitted. The next day, the kid was reassigned. I was like, resigned. Resigned? Was resigned. Oh, okay, so they terminated him, I guess. I heard they sent him to an asylum, but no one ever saw Redacted again. The kid just kept staring at the wall, murmuring and not responding to anyone. That was the very last time I saw Redacted. No one knows what happened inside the containment unit. You won't find it out from the kid, either. It'd be neat if does she break out? She doesn't break out, right? She doesn't break out, but she has a Quilpaloth counter. So I think what we've read about her is that, yeah, when it hits 0, every employee in the department suffers white damage. It'd be kind of neat if there was, like, some horror aspect to her, which took place when the Quilpaloth counter reached 0. If, like, it tries to mess with us in some way. That'd be kind of cool if that was the case. Alright, so we had received these 2 abnormalities for our first day. That was the first time I realized we were getting 2 abnormalities in this department. It looks like the disciplinary team might be getting a total of 8 abnormalities as well, but more slowly, from what I can see. Because we have the space for more abnormalities down here, so I'm guessing that's going to happen for this team at some point in the future. Alright, anyway, let's go ahead and read about Scarecrow searching for wisdom. An abnormality taking the form of a straw scarecrow. The straw is stained with blood. The head is empty, as if someone forcibly tore it off. It shows aggression towards certain employees, attempting to take their brains. These employees are those who scored excellent on the intelligence test. Yep. If you have a prudence more than rank 2, he breaks out of the containment unit and tries to kill people. Each city needed to have its own unique technologies. That was the key to reinvigorating the city. They must be talking about the Emerald City here, because this is a fairy tale creature from Wizard of Oz. There were numerous ones, but among them, one city saw advancements in technology for the replacement of body parts. It was possible to repair or augment body parts that were broken and malfunctioning, or simply undesirable. Every citizen was eligible for that treatment. However, rumors circulated. When a rich person looking to improve their eyesight approached a beggar with broken lungs struggling to breathe, they would transplant the beggar's eyes to the rich person. Then, they would abandon the beggar's corpse somewhere along the outskirts, still with the rotting lungs. Oh, wow! Alright! Interesting. Reminds me a little bit of Rifts, like a hive city of some sort, then. Where the rich have tons of perks and benefits and get away with numerous things, but the poor, that is not the case for them. Everyone living on the outskirts or on the fringes of society, or in the lowest sections of the city. The city's representative reassured them, dismissing the rumors as nonsense. To put the rumors to rest, they announced that they would select a number of sick people from the outskirts and fix any body parts they wanted. Out of the lucky few who were chosen, one returned several days later. He had a visibly long scar on his head. People asked him how he felt. He responded that his head felt lighter. He was a man filled with sorrow who used to cry a lot, so everyone believed that the surgery was a success. Oh, lobotomized, or his brain removed, I suppose. However, when he was asked about the whereabouts of the others who went with him, he just smiled without uttering a word. Before long, even at his parents' funeral, he showed no emotion. All he did after the treatment was stare out of the window and talk to himself. Eventually, he hung himself on the doorknob of his house. So people thought that the treatment was caused his troubles, but after a few days, he was completely forgotten. The city still remained a beautiful place, where the emerald roads sparkled bright as ever. I'm wondering if there are other Oz creatures in the game, and if there are, we're gonna try to get them. So what would that be? That would be the Tin Men, the Cowardly Lion, Dorothy, and the Wicked Witch of the East would be the other figures I can think of. There was also the man behind the curtain. What else was in that movie that I can remember? What were the little people called? I want to call them Munchkins, but I don't remember if that was what their name was. I haven't watched Wizard of Oz in a long time. God, I think it's been since I was in grammar school, the last time I watched The Wizard of Oz. I remember watching The Wiz a lot. That was a redo of The Wizard of Oz that took place, like, in a city. Michael Jackson was the Scarecrow, if I remember correctly. I really liked The Wiz. I wonder if anyone else did. God, it's been so long. I remember sort of being really odd, but when I was older and watched the movie again, I saw the references. Like the poppy field in The Wizard of Oz they were running across. The characters in The Wiz were given or took drugs instead in the outskirts of the city. Been a long time. All right, then we have. I'm sorry. Let's move on now to the first tool received as well. I think this is called Theresa, a music box with an impressive sculpture of a dancing ballerina. Those who listen to Theresa's music will recover sanity points, including the employee playing the music box and everyone in the department where the abnormality is located. So this doesn't seem to work, from what I can tell. I've not noticed us ever recovering sanity points, and I don't see anyone else in the facility recovering sanity, in the department recovering it either. Because I've ran people in here to try to save them from the Scarecrow searching for wisdom to have them recover sanity, and nothing happens. So I think this is bugged or not working, or maybe it's just really random as to when you recover it. But it's definitely not over time. So maybe every second that you listen to it is a chance, a low chance, you might recover some sanity. When wound up, a sad melody begins to play. No one knows when it was made or who made it, but it doesn't seem to be new, judging from the slight skips in the song. That just may be the manufacturer of the device. When 20-30 seconds have passed, the music box begins playing. After the music box begins playing, the sanity points of the employee operating the box will begin to fall rapidly, causing the panic. So we also saw this is not actually accurate either. It just immediately reduces them to 0 sanity, like pretty much instantly. If not, then you literally have like half a second to get them out of there the moment the effect takes place. There are a few phrases crudely carved on its surface. Do you remember this melody? The professor used to play this song when the students were sleepy. Happy birthday. Listening to this music box will make anyone feel like everything will be okay in the end, lifting their fatigue. However, excessive listening will make one lose their grip on reality and be driven mad. Maybe it restores their hit points and not their sanity points. Maybe this is a bug? We'll see. I'm aware that there are a few bugs in the game which were never fixed as well. I haven't talked about them yet. I did notice a few of them were addressed in the mod. We normally run into one with the optimization of the game and run into memory leaks. So maybe there's a few other glitches still held over. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be negative on the game. It's just, I'm aware of a few things not working correctly in it. Alright, well, let's move on. So, we picked up the Clouded Monk, a WoW for our Central Command team. Now that I look at it, we have 4 HEs in the Central Command team. 1 WoW and 1 Teth for the creatures. And then we have a Teth and a WoW for our tools. So it's a rather well-balanced Central Command team. Interesting. I also realized we don't have any Alfs yet. I'm beginning to think, everyone, that we need an Alf. I think we need it because we're going to probably want the equipment from it. So, I don't know what to do because I've been selecting. Oh well, hold on. Let's keep reading. I'm sorry. Let's keep reading the lore, and we'll talk about what's going through my head about that after I'm done. The Clouded Monk. This abnormality was created with the ideas provided by Tumblebug backer Nejon. Thank you, Nejon, for contributing enough to the game to help it be produced, and for having an abnormality made. I'm always really grateful when people kickstart games, and I'm really glad to see what the backers have created in their games as well. In the redacted century, a monk named something, from the province of something, walked the path of Buddhism, seeking liberation and true enlightenment. He was on the road to his home country to spread his philosophy when he heard that an old monk was being cremated in a nearby town. He felt that he should go witness it. However, a man stopped him. "Excuse me, sir. There is a rumor that an evil spirit lingers in the town you're heading towards." The monk replied, "Evil spirits are naturally born from one's heart. How could I miss the cremation of a great monk simply because of a rumor has been spread?" He then continued on his way to the town of Redacted. When the monk arrived, people from all around the town were gathered in ceremony. They were gazing at the corpse of the old monk, chanting of the name Guanyin? Guanyin. God, I hope I'm getting that right. Guanyin? I think it's Guanyin. The chant was born more out of desperation for something they yearned for, rather than commemoration. The funeral pyre started crackling as it was fed with kindling. The sound of wooden percussion echoed, and the chanting grew louder and louder. Soon, the crowd started buzzing with nervousness. Something's not right. The people were greatly disappointed by the amount of saria that appeared. There were no more than 2 spoonfuls. Shocked, the people soon turned into an angry crowd. It makes no sense that such a great monk had such little saria. Clearly he was lacking in the practice of, there's no way I can pronounce this, asceticism. He must not have done many good deeds. Okay, well, I know almost nothing about Buddhism. I've had 2 Buddhist friends of mine, and Liz was a Buddhist, and her family was as well, but I was blessed by their monks at the temple once, but they didn't go to the temple. If they went to the temple regularly, I did not go with them. I only went for the water festival, and I know nothing about Buddhism, so I unfortunately, what that means to you is I cannot describe what's going on here, unfortunately. It sounds like, though, that, or maybe this is not related to Buddhism at all. Maybe this is something specific for this game world. But maybe as you do good works and deeds, you earn whatever this is. It sounds like the people were going to eat this, or they want this energy for something. Maybe this was a way in which this was like PE boxes for the city. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted. The visiting monk was himself baffled. He was unfamiliar with such an obsession with saria at the cremation, and he even was expecting the proper amount of saria that a great monk would deserve. The monk spoke to a man behind him in the crowd. How can they be so upset at such a sacred ceremony? Yeah, this is my response as well. Why are they angry at this? A slight distance away, a very old man in the crowd answered instead. The poor and the hungry yearn for miracles to save them. By how you're dressed, I would guess that you are also on the path of a Buddhist. This event must have worried you. The monk responded in a slightly disturbed tone. Sarya forms when a monk has bettered his body and spirit and finally reaches nirvana. It is a natural process and not to be artificially wanted. How can you call it a miracle? Sounds like this monk is a true believer in his faith, and this monk believed in whatever the town believed in. The old man then burst out in laughter. This monk was known well here for his good deeds. He shared his food with the hungry, and his clothes with those who were cold. However, as they say, it seemed he was unable to reach true nirvana, as only 2 spoonfuls of Sarya were found. He ended up being a miserable old monk who couldn't achieve nirvana, even though he was a well-respected man, and known as a benevolent living saint. Do you think you will be any different? I have proudly practiced. They say a monk from the temple had earned more than 300 spoons of Sarah. Colorful lights sparkled across the sky as the crowd paid devout prayers at his cremation, and his Sarya were as round as pearls. The emperor himself ordered for 4 temples to be built in his name. The monk could not reply. But the creation of Sarya is a natural process all go through. It is well known that Buddha's Sarya were enough to fill a grand palace when he was cremated. One day, your body shall fail and eventually lead you to the eternal heaven. Someday, people will be there for your cremation, just like now. The monk was silent. If nothing is found in your ashes, you will be a sinner of the Tralokya, and your path will ultimately reach nowhere. However, if enough Sarya are found from you that everyone looks on in awe, your name will be sung for generations. The emperor will be awestruck and build a huge temple in your name. The people will chant while admiring the pagoda of the temple. Does this matter then? Does the amount of Sarya you have matter? It sounds like it's just the people afterwards, like, celebrate you, but is that really what you care about? I don't know if you should really care about that. I thought the idea to me would be bettering yourself for your own peace of mind and future, coming into peace with the world, and helping other people maybe do the same. But I don't know if you would want the fame of it all. I don't know if that matters at all. You should do good deeds because they're good to do, not because of any reward that you would get. I'm sorry. Anyway, the young monk doesn't respond, and the old monk continues. This feeble old man is telling you all this because I can see you becoming one of the greatest monks. Listen a few hours. Walk from here. There is a mound we call redacted. Go up there, and you will see several old pagodas. Inside of them are several of the boxes of Sarya from long-forgotten great monks. Why, they'll just return to the soil if nothing happens to them. But if you were to consume them, perhaps you would display more Sarya than Buddha himself. Oh, don't... The old man is the evil spirit. Don't listen to him, clouded monk. The monk then realized that the old man was suspicious. He did not sound as an old man should. However, the old man was gone in a flash as he tried to catch a glimpse of his face. The monk concluded that it must have been a trick of the devil, and tried to forget what the old man had said. But the old man's voice lingered in his ears even as he tried to sleep. The monk tossed and turned, but couldn't fall asleep. He decided the best way to clear his mind was to go on a walk. As he walked, he somehow found himself around the pagodas that the old man had mentioned. They were supposed to be a few hours' travel from where he had been staying. For a long while, I'm not going to be able to pronounce what's coming up, only a chant of Om Ami Diwahir echoed around the pagodas. Excerpt from a folk tale from the province of Redacted. They say at night, a mysterious sound can be heard around the pagodas of the statues of the area of Redacted. It is said that the source of this sound is a preta, a demonic creature with long arms, claws, and an unnaturally big mouth. Oh, that's what we fought! Some say this creature carries a shattered Jampamala. However, the exact details are unconfirmed. After this creature appears, people find that offered Sararia boxes are forcefully opened with their contents removed. Oh, interesting! So maybe this old monk tried to trick him to devouring these, whatever these Saria are, and then he would devour him afterwards. So the monk we have, I was worried. I thought it would be the good monk that we have who was turned to evil, but it sounds like we've got the evil monk in our place, and we're studying him. Anyway, it says, furthermore, monks who stay in this province must not sleep alone. They should also visit a nearby temple to receive a talisman that wards off evil spirits and ensure they carry it at all times. The sales become widespread across the region, and has led to the tradition of chanting certain lines at pagodas where Saria is stored when cremation takes place. I cannot pronounce any of this. I guess, but I will read the translation. Are you a monk? Are you a monk? You are no longer a monk. A demon shall never reach heaven. The chant is oriented to the monk who has not yet realized that he has become a demon. Cool story. I like the background of this guy. All right. Next up is Funeral of the Dead Butterflies. Another really cool looking abnormality. We got all the cool looking abnormalities on the left side of the Central Command team. And we have various musical, kind of, abnormalities on the right-hand side of the Central Command team. Alright, Funeral of the Dead Butterflies. Where does one go when they die? Where did all the employees who worked here go? They must have returned home. To a haven where family and warmth wait. The employees cannot leave. Once they join the company, the only way to leave is to resign. Then those resigned employees must have returned home, having earned what they wanted and being full of hope. We are the feathers of a wing. Resignation isn't as simple as you think, just like how a feather doesn't detach from a wing of its own will. Then, where do all the resigned employees go? Wing is also capitalized. That's interesting to me. Someone mentioned a wing earlier, one of the Separate. I get the impression this means something else as opposed to just being a metaphor. Is that the right word? I think it is. They're bound to the company the moment they enter. Even if they do resign, they are doomed to stay here forever. Long ago, in some world, people believed that they would become beautiful beings with small wings when they died. It's a silly story. Nonsensical, too. If we get wings, will we be able to leave this place? Do we get our wings only after we retire? They say the mourner with a huge luggage on his back has come to be a savior of all. Come on now. Come on. That's being rather obtuse. You can say casket. You can say coffin. Everyone knows that's not luggage. Eventually, he himself was trapped in this place, and now he wanders the company with only the memory of an empty faith. He is carrying a coffin. A large coffin to pay tribute to the employees who have nowhere else to go. However, it is still too small to comfort those innocent sacrifices. Inside of it is a kaleidoscope of butterflies waiting for the moment to fall asleep. Until then, they flutter their wings uselessly. The wings that may have been many jumbled into one, or one split into many. The butterflies are supposed to pollinate flowers, but not a single proper flower blooms in this place. There is no choice but to wait. After all, there must be an end to every world. Oh, that's kind of really sad. So when he attacks and opens this coffin to let those butterflies out, I'm guessing it's the spirits of all, like, the clerks that have died that are attacking everyone in that AoE. Letitia, who used to be called the Wee Witch. Similar to a child in size and always maintaining a bright smile, a very adorable little kid. They call me an adorable little kid because I am a small and lovely child. The kid comes from a place far away, and when the kid meets someone she likes, she will give them a gift made all by herself. The gift's content is a secret, though. This is another really important secret, but the kid has lots of talents. This girl has many friends, but they said she can't bring them here. She was so sad that she had to leave her dear friends behind, so she came up with a brilliant idea. If I cover up my friends nicely and make it look like a gift, everyone will be surprised, and they'll all laugh together over my prank. Oops, there goes the secret of the gift. I hope to find lots of friends here too. The kid is shy, so the gift will be given in secret. Farewells are sad. I hope we can play more, and people here don't smile. That looks so gloomy. So this little lady has made a decision to stay here and never leave until laughter is restored to this place. I'll be happy if everyone is pleased with my pranks. She seems like though she's a robot, or a clockwork creature of some sort, based upon how she moves. I don't think we've ever seen her blink either, so I'm pretty sure she is a robot. Well, then again, I don't think we've seen anyone blink. I'm pretty sure she's a robot. And her gifts are terrifying! That's why her creature is terrifying. Absolutely freaking terrifying. Backwards clock. Alright. We'll read about what we've unlocked so far for it. This abnormality was created with the ideas provided by Tumblebug backer Jiyoung Hyan-Kyo. Hyan-Kyo. An old clock manufactured by an unknown company. Its vacuum tubes give off a vintage vibe. The manufacturer stopped making these clocks a long time ago. Is your future totally grim? Have you hit absolute rock bottom? Not a single way out in sight? Have you ever thought, oh man, what if I'd done this instead of that? Humanity has conquered disease and nature. Now we have come far enough to harness time itself. Yes, we can rewind your wasted time. Just wind it up, close your eyes, and count to 10. When you open them, you'll be standing at the exact moment you wished to be in. Alright, everyone. There were two things I wanted to talk about, and I only remember one of them. I'm going to make a few more guesses as to what's going on now. So, it just occurred to me the other day that we retried a day, and everything that had happened was forgotten. And we were restored back to the original point of day 25. We can go back to a memory repository back 5 days. If we do that, I think we lose any of the EGO equipment that we had lost. But when people have died, but we get those people back when we go back to that day. And I think all the PE boxes and information we gained for the abnormalities are actually retained. I think that's the way that works. We can also go back to day 1, right? If we go back to day 1, to my knowledge, all of the information we've picked up about the abnormalities we keep. We also keep, I think, all of the EGO weapons and suits that we have currently earned. Basically, like if Bruno dies and takes his Teth with him and his armor with him, and we go back to day 1, we will be lacking one regret and lacking one ecstasy suit. But we'd have the other one, assuming Alexander lived. But all the employees are wiped out, and you keep only the EGO list and all the work you did. But obviously you start over from day 1. I suspect that this is not the first time we've done this. I think we've done this many, many, many times before. I think that going backwards in time is, first off, it's a part of the game, and you're supposed to use it to your advantage where it makes sense to do so. I can see that maybe sometimes you get a really tough abnormality, you unlock all the information about it, get its weapons and armor, and then even if you lose a handful of people, you then reset back to the memory repository data to keep that equipment and get rid of the abnormality. You're supposed to do that, I think. You're supposed to do this sort of thing to recover from the really awful days. And I am suspecting that our character that we are playing, the protagonist, if we are even a good guy in this game, maybe we're a bad guy, has been reset back to day 1 numerous times. And maybe, sometimes, we lost everything in the process of trying to reach day 50. I wonder how many years we've done this, if this is the case. And this also would explain why we see some of what we see, like reconstruction of the Sephiroth, the synchronization of all of their current memories, because they have to react to the things that we currently have done, and it has to be implanted into all their processors. And the only one who might remember any of this would be Angela. She would be then acting out every single interaction with us every day, like she's reading from a script for decades, centuries, maybe. So I think that's kind of cool if that's what they're going with the story here. So we'll see if that's the case going forward. But that's another guess of mine. I'm guessing number 1, Angela really wants to be a real girl. And I think if the opportunity comes to do that, she will totally take it. Number 2, I think because she's a computer, I suspect that she's been around a long time. And that as the only perfect computer, all the other Sephiroth are supporting characters to her. And that she has worked with us, X, numerous times. Maybe we are, in fact, like A, B, C, and all the other managers were ones who, after a few hundred years or thousands of years, couldn't actually get through to the end, and she had to eventually retire them. They weren't good enough, and One-Sins was the last manager for that. I'm still guessing that One-Sins 100 Good Deeds is a previous manager. He was, whatever is the letter before X, which I can't remember unless I say the alphabet. I'm not gonna bother. But he would have had one sin, failing Angela, and hundreds of good deeds, doing everything that you see us doing to keep people alive and work with the abnormalities to get PE boxes. So, there's another guess. There's another guess of mine. Oh, and before we're done, we should also look at all the equipment we earned from these abnormalities too, right? So let's go ahead and look at these. Screaming Wedge. This comes from... Oh, what's this? From Lady Facing the Wall. It has something special about it. 50% chance to take 5 sanity points damage with each attack if the wielder's fortitude and prudence levels are lower than 3. Oh, interesting. So there's a penalty to using it. I didn't even realize that. I should really check my employees before I give them this stuff. Alright, so fortitude and prudence are 4. Oh, but I'll need to be careful. Because if anything actually lowers, like, their stats, you could end up losing sanity points in the middle of a day. Alright, anyway, so there's a penalty to using this weapon. Hair has grown on the crossbow, as if to express that the woman's dejection will never be forgotten. The sound of the projectile splitting the air is reminiscent of her piercing scream. We've never heard that before. That's an amazing description, though. That must be horrifying. It'd be cool if it was like a death rattle from a Ju-on. Those who wield this must be careful, as her hair can tangle the wielder's hands and drag them into an endless path of sorrow. That must be this effect. Only iron-willed employees with a cold-blooded disposition can use this without letting deep-rooted sorrow weave its strands around their heart. Well, that's me and you, Robber Baron. Oh! Wait! Solemn Lament, the pistols are a WoW weapon. You know what? And Screaming Wedge is a he weapon. That's interesting. Because the girl is a Teth. And Funeral of Dead Butterflies is an HE. Interesting. The somber design is a reminder that not a sliver of frivolity is allowed for the minds of those who mourn. One handgun symbolizes grief for the dead, while the other symbolizes early lament for the living. I suspect it actually does 2 and 4 damage, not just 2 white damage. That's 2 and 4 damage. I think it does, maybe it does like white and red damage. And it just can't display that. Well, we'll have to send Jason against something individually and watch what type of damage this does. What else did we earn? We earned a harvest. The last legacy of the man who sought wisdom. The rake tilled the human brain instead of farmland. Oh my god, that's horrible. How many of the wise people among us have lost their lives to this rake? None yet. We haven't really used it in combat. Anything else? Magic bullet? May cause friendly fire to both enemies and allies. Yep. This is why, Chris, we send you alone into rooms. Though the original's power couldn't be fully extracted, the magic this holds is still potent. This weapon's bullets travel across the corridor along the horizon. Really? We didn't earn any other weapons? Oh, I've been focusing on the armor from these people for the most part, if I recall correctly. Speaking of which, we actually have 55p boxes, so we should get one of these two. Let's grab her armor. That's actually a really good pseudo-armor, too. This is like a slightly weaker version of the Ecstasy armor. It's the same resistances of it. Is that right? Yeah, same resistances. But it's 1 level lower than Ecstasy. Oh, actually, no. It's... they're better resistances, but the armor itself is a lower level. So against a WoW, it's not as slightly worse than Ecstasy would be. Interesting. Alright, anyway, so those are the weapons we earned. Let's read about the armor that we had. So we have unlocked Screaming Wedge's armor. Her resentment is tightly bound to it, as if to express that it is not to be cast away so easily. When the projectile pierces the heart of an enemy, it will... A warm heart and cool head are required to resist the deep-rooted sorrow. Okay. It looks like they just copy-pasted what was on the weapons over here for the armor sometimes. So we literally just now earned Letitia's armor. The ribbon on the coat represents a child's yearning for jolliness. The little kid who couldn't leave her friends behind came up with a brilliant idea. Someone should probably have that armor on. Okay, well, I'll do that later. We earned the HE Solemn Lament for the armor. The Undertaker's outfit belongs to those who pay tribute to the dead. Only a solemn mind is required to express condolences. There is no need for showy accessories. If you see a mound standing out in the middle of the desert, please do not desecrate it. It is the grave of the countless butterflies that have died in this place. We earned a harvest. The last legacy of the man who sought wisdom. That's all that says. Magic Bullet's armor. Though the original's power couldn't be fully extracted, the magic this holds is still potent. And Amita. Some armor from the Clouded Monk. The old and ragged robes of a monk that shows his dedication. The plain and simple wear, worn with patches, is a sign of the monk's practice of, I can't pronounce this, asceticism? You can smell old dirt and fire if you put your nose close enough. Alright, everyone. So that does it for the lore. And for me babbling a bit, So, there was something else I wanted to talk about, and I completely forgot what it was. It was something about time resetting I wanted to talk about a little bit, but I can't remember. Alright, well that does it. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care, everyone.